Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kara and I currently live in the Dominican Republic. Today I'm talking about a few things that I have just gotten accustomed to living here in the Dominican Republic. I'm going to share with you those things because I think it's important to have realistic expectations when you are going to a new place, especially, for example, if you're living or teaching abroad like I am. It's important to go into this experience with realistic expectations, not saying that you should have low expectations, but think of it as just being open-minded. I just wanted to share a few things that I have just gotten used to living here, and I think most people will get used to living here. I think every place has their pros and cons of what is good about that place, and it's really just important to keep in mind that each country is different, and if you're coming from the United States, it can be hard not to hold that as the golden standard, but you have to realize there are unique situations, unique positives and negatives of every place that you could live in. I'm just going to share a few of the things that I'm not saying they're positive or negative, but I will say they're just things that are different that I've gotten used to being here. So here are 10 things that I have gotten used to living here in the Dominican Republic. The first one that I've had to get used to starting in Honduras actually was the crazy driving. Like, oh, we almost just got into a head-on crash with a semi-truck. Normal. Oh, they crossed over the double yellow line. Normal. There's a motorcycle weaving through the traffic. There's no speed limit signs. We're going the wrong way down an exit ramp. Normal. All these things don't really faze me anymore. I don't really pay that much attention. I used to be in the back seats of Ubers, like clutching my purse, clutching whatever I had because I was just so nervous. But now it's just like, oh, that's normal. So that's just something that is pretty normal here. Not saying it's the best thing. Even Dominicans say people drive crazy here. And also I think it does have a pretty high rate of accidents, unfortunately, but it is something I've just gotten used to. The second thing is being late or things starting late, because Dominican time is real. Really, you can't depend on things starting exactly at the time they're supposed to start. Some things do, like I'll applaud my church. They always start their services basically on time. Other places might be half an hour late. Meetings might be 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 40 minutes late. You never know. But yeah, time isn't really as reliable or consistent, and things like appointments don't really exist. Like if you go to the doctors, you just get on a list and you'll follow whoever was on the list before you. It's a different lifestyle. It's something I've had to get used to. But now even I am going late to things and I feel ashamed of myself, like I'm not being a good on-time punctual American. But yeah, it's just something I've gotten used to. Things start late and that's just how life is here. The third thing I've gotten used to, this might just be me personally, and that is sweating all the time. I have my air conditioning on when I sleep, so usually I don't sweat when I sleep. But the rest of the time, I pretty much expect to be sweating, and yeah, it doesn't really faze me anymore. But yeah, it's very hot here, and I just learned to expect to be sweating no matter what. So if you're yet to come here, pack deodorant, pack light clothing. If you're sweating, that's just how it is. The fourth thing that I've come to expect is common power outages. So the power goes out often. Sometimes it goes out like 3 or 4 times in a day. In my building, it just comes back, and at the school, it usually just comes back right away. And it's just a fact of life. It's just something that happens here. Some places, the power doesn't come back on right away, so that is something to take into consideration. But most of the time it does, at least in the area where I live. I have to say it always surprises me when the power goes out at school, all the kids scream. I'm like, but you live here. Isn't that normal? Why do you have to scream? I know the reason. It's because the kids like to scream. That's it. Number 5 is the noise. Speaking of screaming, there's always noise. There's always something making noise. When I went back to Pennsylvania, I was at home and I was in my basement and it was silent, like completely silent. It was quite incredible. I hadn't experienced silence in a long time, because here there's always something. There's always some Komalo playing music at night. There's always other apartments where people are talking and I can always hear it. But there, like in my house, it was very different. It was very silent and I liked it. But here there's always noise, and more often than not, it's a lot of noise, because there's one thing I've learned is Dominicans can be quite loud in their speaking voices and in their activities and their music. They can be kind of loud. So that's something else to get used to. The sixth thing I've gotten used to is caring more about appearances. Dominicans care a lot about their outward appearance. For example, the guys, they go to the barbershop every week to get their hair cut, and yeah, people care a lot about their appearances here. I feel like that's something that has rubbed off on me a little bit, and I try a little bit harder. I've taken up ironing my clothes a little bit more. So it's something that is not always a bad thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it is something that I have paid a little bit more attention to, I feel, since being here. but not entirely. I don't really wear makeup or anything, and I still dress how I want to dress. But yeah, people here don't really go to the grocery store in like their sweats or their pajamas like you might see in the US, and they always look at least like pretty decent. Sometimes I feel a little bit too dressed down if I wear the same leggings and t-shirt I'm planning on wearing to the gym later, to the supermarket, but I just wear it. I'm like, okay, I'm going to the supermarket. I don't need to dress up. So that's just me. But most places I go to, doesn't really matter where I'm going, I try to look at least presentable, which is something I feel like I've always been doing. But when I went back to the States this most recent time, it did feel like I had a little bit of the Dominican influence about caring about my appearance. So yeah, not a bad thing, but just something to think about. The seventh thing, this is not something I particularly like, but I've just gotten used to it, and that is seeing little critters. Let's call them that. The first critter that is pretty common to see is the little lizards or geckos. I don't know, but they're little lizards. And the first lizard I saw was in Honduras in my friend's house, and I was like, oh, thank God I don't have those in my house. But it was just chilling on their wall or their roof sometimes, and it's pretty harmless, doesn't do anything. So now here, a few times we've seen lizards in our apartment, and it doesn't really faze me. I'm just like, okay, it's a little not exactly what I would prefer, but it's not doing me any harm really, so it might freak me out. But now I've just gotten used to seeing little lizards. I've gotten used to seeing lizards, but whenever there's a lizard in my classroom, kids freak out. The boys all chase it and take it outside. The girls are all screaming. And that's another thing where I'm just like, are we used to this? Lizards are not anything out of this world. I don't know why those Dominican kids are not used to seeing them. I get it, it's kind of freaky, but it's not gonna do anything to you. But anyways, it always creates a scene in my classroom. The other critter is cockroaches, which is not the best, but thankfully here I've seen smaller cockroaches than I saw in Honduras. There were big ones that would wander in from outside and crawl into my door. I did not like that. The first time I saw one, I thought I would never be able to sleep again, but now it's just something I'm used to. I haven't seen one in a while in my apartment. I know my roommate saw one recently, heard about that. But yeah, it's just something, it's just normal. It doesn't really matter where you live. They end up in there somehow. And I think it's more due to the climate than necessarily dirtiness or anything, which is what we associate them with in the States. But yeah, I think it's just the climate, the environment. They just live here. Number 8 is quite obvious. I've gotten used to speaking Spanish. I would advise you, if you're coming here, don't expect people to speak English to you. You should at least try, make an effort to speak in Spanish. Number 9 is drinking filtered water. Now I'm just used to drinking filtered water. It's not something I did in the States. I would always just drink tap water, but now when I go back, I feel weird about drinking tap water because I'm just totally used to drinking the filtered water from the bottles. And number 10, the last thing is I've gotten used to paying in pesos, so please do not come here and try to pay in dollars. You're gonna get scammed. You're gonna get not the right price. Just be prepared to go exchange your money for pesos and pay everything in pesos. The one thing I have not gotten used to about pesos quite yet is the conversion rate. In Honduras, it was so easy. It was nice even. 25 Honduran lempiras is $1. So if I pay 100, that's $4. 500, that's $20. 1,000, that's $40. Here, I know it's around 56, but the math is just not as quick in my head. That's one part of paying in pesos that I have not exactly gotten used to. That concludes my video for today. That was just 10 things that I've gotten used to living here in the Dominican Republic. 10 things to expect if you're moving here. They're not necessarily all good or all bad, but just things that are normal here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe if you want more videos like this. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.